The 2022 Xbox and Bethesda Showcase brought us our first real look at Starfield, from Bethesda Studios' first new universe in 25 years. A next-generation role-playing game set within 50 light years of our own star system. Players will be able to create their own characters and explore this expansive new universe with unparalleled freedom, or at least that's what the byline says. I'm skeptical! The showcase also presented us with everything from landing on a foreign moon and alien artifacts to space pirates and zero-G combat. In today's video though, guys, we're gonna be taking a deep dive into what Starfield really is, why it might just be one of the most pivotal RPGs of all time, or potentially another Splat. Yes, I'm gonna dog on Bethesda a little bit here from time to time. Now, Starfield has been in development though for a long time. The title Starfield was first trademarked by Bethesda Game Studios as early as 2013. My God, that was forever ago. Production wouldn't begin until late 2015, around the release of Fallout 4. Now, the idea of Starfield, however, had been around for much longer. It all started with their canceled space combat game, The 10th Planet, which was supposed to be published in the summer of 1996, and then got pushed back to October 1997 before finally being canceled. The game was to focus on a previously unknown 10th planet orbiting our solar system, used as a staging ground for an alien invasion, one which the player would have to prevent. From the ashes of the 10th planet grew the foundations of what would inevitably become Starfield. Now, Starfield has seen some of its own issues with delays. Originally, Starfield was slated for a November 11, 2022 release, but in a statement released from Bethesda on Twitter last month, they said the teams at Bethesda Game Studios have incredible ambitions for their games, and we want to ensure that you receive the best, most polished versions of them. Honestly though, every game has been delayed, right? So it's really not a fault of Bethesda, and I wonder if Xbox acquiring them had anything to do with this. Now, the date was then tentatively pushed back to the first half of 2023. Now, obviously, this created some mixed feelings, some flashbacks of CD Projekt Red and Cyberpunk 2077, but with the general buzz centered around Starfield, we can only hope Bethesda has taken a page out of Bungie's book with the delay of The Witch Queen, and of course, the success that came with that launch. Now, with games as expansive as Starfield, it's a wonder it wasn't delayed previously. At the end of the showcase, Todd Howard goes on to tell the viewers that we'll have over 100 star systems to visit and over 1,000 planets to explore. That is not just a 10 kilometer by 10 kilometer instance, but we get to pick our landing sites from anywhere on the planet and can explore it at will. Now, the expansive areas to explore were, in part, procedurally generated to begin with before being touched up by hand. And the exploration doesn't just stop at the planets and moons either. It extends out into space, where you can explore and interact with asteroid fields, space stations, and even other ships. That's right, you can dock with other ships. You like their ship better? Then it's yours. You can take it. And it's because of this mentality, aliens will never come into contact with us. You know what I mean? Now, every Bethesda game has a story woven through it, and Starfield is no different. The freedom inherent in Starfield is that freedom to create your own story and play how you want to play. If you want to be a badass space pirate and rob people in their ships, you can. You want to be a little snitch and infiltrate the badass space pirates only to tell on them to the proper authorities? Well, you can do that too. Starfield is set in the year 2330 in a small pocket of the Milky Way, extending outward from our solar system for approximately 50 light years. This pocket is referred to as the Settled Systems. Roughly 20 years before the start of the game, there was a brutal and bloody conflict referred to as the Colony War. The two aggressors, the United Colonies and the Free Star Collective. Not much is known about the length or the brutality of the war, but the two major factions currently enjoy an uneasy peace. But the Settled Systems are still dangerous in their own right. Factions are a large part of the player experience in Starfield. You can join whichever one you like, or not, if you just prefer to be alone. Now, the factions are Constellation, which is the last group of space explorers whose mission is to, well, explore. You'll be called to meet them on the planet Jimsum in the city of New Atlantis, after you've done a few missions on your own out in the black. They've come across some mysterious artifacts that predate human civilization and want you to investigate. The next faction is the United Colonial Systems, or the UC Systems. The UC are the most powerful established military and political faction in the game. They police the stars and may even have a spot amongst their cadre for an intrepid explorer such as yourself. We also have the Free Star Collective, a loose confederation of 3 distinct star systems sharing the belief in the sanctity of personal freedom and individuality. Out on the fringes of explored space, the Free Star Collective might seem more like you've walked into an old-fashioned Western than something out of science fiction. We also have the Crimson Fleet, a group of violent spacers organized into their own military-like faction, akin to more organized versions of Fallout's Ghost Raiders or bandits from Skyrim. Now, other threats mentioned, but no further info, is on the ecliptic mercenaries, violent spacers, religious zealots, which come from the House of Rune. Now, when you first begin the game, you'll be filling out your biometric ID for Argos Extractors, an interstellar mining corporation. This is the character creator, which will allow you to create a character more detailed than ever before. You can fine-tune weight, height, build, completely alter your facial features or sex, and even choose how you want your character to walk. Now, your biometric customizations can also be changed later by visiting genetic facilities, and this means you'll be able to visit a genetic facility somewhere in the game and change how you look whenever you want, provided you can afford it. But if you're like me, you're just gonna keep hitting the randomize button until something looks good, right? How many of us do that? Now, you'll be provided with roughly 20 different backgrounds to pick from, all of which have 3 starting skills attached to them to get you started playing how you want. Don't just pick a background based on the skills though. The background you choose will alter how different characters interact with your own and may even affect other areas of the game. Once you select a background, you'll be presented with several optional traits. These optional traits are there to spice up your experience and ensure that no playthrough was like the last. Want to start with your own home? Well, you can, but it'll come with a 50,000 credit mortgage, or maybe you pick the kid stuff trait. Your parents are alive and well, and you can visit them at their home, but 10% of all your money that you earn is deducted automatically and sent to them. The hell with parents. I'm keeping my 10%. Now let's talk about how the game will play and some of the mechanics you're gonna see. First, I know what you're all wondering, and no, we won't be flying down to whatever planet we want ourselves. In order to land on a planet or a moon, you'll have to select your landing zone, and a small cutscene will play out as your ship descends into the atmosphere and lands at your destination. So yeah, loading screens. I know, most of us are like, yo, when are we ever gonna actually be able to land on a planet? Fellas, Kerbal Space Program, it's like $10. If you got that itch, go play it. No lie, it's actually a good game. Companions. This is a Bethesda game, so you know we're gonna have a companion. You actually get to see the robot dude exiting your ship and speaking to you in the gameplay reveal. That's actually Vasco. He's one of the several companions you have the opportunity of exploring the galaxy with in Starfield. Now, originally built by Lunar Robotics, he was then refurbished to handle the rigors of space travel. He's got some weapons that he can fight with, but Vasco himself is a bit of a workhorse. Vasco has his own thoughts and feelings and will react to you during the game. Now, the goal here from Bethesda was to have the companions feel like they were really people joining you on your adventure, reacting to you and developing their own opinions of your character. Granted, if we get a version of Lydia in Starfield, I'm just gonna kill my companion. I'll just put her inside of a shuttle and blast her into deep space. Now, lockpicking and persuasion minigames will be returning in a new revivified format. Instead of the traditional locks we know and love, in the year 2330, the galaxy has gone digital. And when we go to pick a lock, we digi-pick them. Now, digi-picking looks to be a combination of Mass Effect's original lock-picking minigame and the classic bobby pin screwdriver combinations from Fallout and Elder Scrolls. You have various slots in the rings and need to choose which pick to use at what rotational angle to unlock. And of course, you'll be able to score that sweet, sweet loot. Now, the persuasion minigame has yet to be revealed, however, but during the Into the Starfield series on Bethesda's YouTube, Todd Howard spoke with the lead quest designer, Will Shin, and said, "It feels like you're having a conversation where you're actually trying to persuade somebody of something." Is that right, Todd? Like the way you persuaded me to buy Fallout 76? What the hell, man? Now, combat. You will have 2 kinds of combat in Starfield: first and third person and ship-based. Now, according to Todd, the ship-based combat in Starfield is meant to feel less twitchy than traditional dogfights in fight simulators, and more on par with the nuance and deliberate pace of MechWarrior and FTL. You can kill your enemies, or you can disable their ships. What you do depends on how you fight and what weapons you decide to bring along. When participating, though, in player-based combat, it feels a lot more familiar to Fallout 4 style of combat, albeit more finely tuned. Using a radio menu, you can select which weapons you use with a quick swap or a more defined radio menu. Now, in previous Bethesda games, these menus were fully customizable depending on what weapons you had in your inventory. Bethesda's more defined user interface is a welcome addition to Starfield, where once we had a stamina and mana bar in Skyrim or an AP bar in Fallout, we now have an O2 and CO2 mix. So while you're sprinting, sliding, and gliding through the air with your jetpack, you'll see your O2 and CO2 mix draining as you go. Health does not regenerate on its own, meaning you'll need to find some sort of health item. Now, considering there's a substantial crafting system, whatever it is you use to get your health back will most likely be craftable. Weapons and armor found in the world can be modified at the appropriate workbench. User interface stands out as a streamlined heads-up display with everything from health, compass, waypoints, and points of interest to your ammo and even the planet and moon's day and night cycle. Now, while on foot, you will have two modes for your heads-up display, normal and scanner. Scanning mode consists of various percentages to indicate how complete the scan of the region is, the temperature, the oxygen level in the atmosphere, and the current gravity. Now, when you switch to scanning mode, your equipped weapon switches to your equipped tools, default appearing to be the mining laser of some kind, and this can be seen in first and third person. Now, resources mined on planets and moons are used in crafting and shipbuilding. There are 5 different categories of research that goes into crafting: pharmacology, food and drink, outpost development, equipment, and weaponry. And menus imply additional weapon types, ballistic, energy, etc. Now, each research option has multiple tiers, with the highest tiers requiring the previous ones to be completed. For example, Barrel Mods 2 requires Barrel Mods 1. This is done at the research station, and the crafting is done at the crafting bench. Outposts can be built by first placing a beacon anywhere on a planet you prefer, and then by expanding with various buildings you unlock from the Outpost Development Research track and built with resources you previously mined. This is, of course, akin to Fallout's forced settlement system. Outposts can be lived in and maintained by NPCs you can hire. Outposts are also a major source for harvestable resources for crafting. Now, your starship is fully customizable at any mechanic or hangar bay, provided you have the resources, the credits, and the skills required. Now, a specific skill named Starship Design will be required at different tiers to unlock all the various modules and parts for your starship. And if you're looking to become an intrepid explorer, unlocking the skill and leveling it up as soon as possible will be a priority. Now, the skill system built into Starfield is the culmination of every Bethesda game studio's release in the last 20 years, with elements drawn from Oblivion, Fallout 4, Skyrim, and even Fallout 76, earning 1 skill point every time you level up in Starfield. You can then use that skill point to purchase a skill from one of 5 different categories. Additional skill points are no longer required to level up a skill. And to level up a skill, the player will need to complete challenges listed within the skill notation. Now, finally, the question we want to answer: is Starfield actually going to be good? Honestly, based on what we've seen, it does look promising. Like, really. Fallout 76 burnt me pretty good, but this looks promising. And I feel like Bethesda wants to get this right. Considering the acquisition there from Microsoft, considering the funding they have, the pushback on time here, I'm hopeful. It does concern me, though, when Todd leads with how many planets and areas that are going to be available to explore. Granted, that's good, right? Like, I want to be able to explore 100 different star systems and thousands of planets. The problem is, will they feel rich? It's a quantity versus quality debate here. And personally, I'd rather 100 planets, 100 very rich, open planets that I would just get lost in over and over. That's the only deterrent here for me, guys, is when I see 1,000 planets and 100 star systems. Like, that right there makes me go, okay, how long am I going to be walking around one of these planets before something exciting happens? Is it going to feel as rich as Tamriel? Am I going to go into a cave and just get lost and come out the other side to then just jump right into another cave? And before I know it, I haven't slept in 3 days. That's the magic that Bethesda games previously possessed for me, and I'm hoping to see that with Starfield as well. Guys, let me know in the comments below what you think of this. Are you excited for this game? As someone who's like really into sci-fi stuff and a fan of Bethesda, I'm excited to see where Starfield goes. Well, fellas and ladies, thank you all for coming and watching, and as always,
slap that like button like your mama told you right.